My name is Cass, or Cassarus, assistant coach for the San Francisco Shock, and today I would like to give you all an early insight in how to play Sojourn. The beta is coming out on April 26th, but I just wanted to give you guys some inside scoops, some good ways to use Sojourn's new kit. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to get into is Sojourn's left click, as it can be quite tough to lead as it's a projectile. To make it easier to hit, just make sure you're playing in those medium to close ranges on her. Playing in these close ranges will make it so much easier to beam down your targets with your left click and then finishing them off with the right click. And the high mobility that Sojourn has allows her to operate and dominate in these really close ranges. She's good at dueling flankers and taking these small off angles, so don't be afraid to go quite close to the enemy, but make sure you have a way to back out. So when you're in those close ranges and you're getting pressured, just get out right away. But if you play in those close ranges, her left click will feel infinitely better. So next up is Sojourn's right click ability. It shoots a hit scan beam that can one-shot headshot squishy targets like 200 and 250 HP. However, it's super tough to hit. So the tip is, make sure you try to charge this by hitting tanks, and if you charge it up all the way and you go in the enemy backline, you can try to one-shot a squishy DPS or a healer. So make sure you're sitting back, shooting a tank, and then with Sojourn's good mobility, get in there and try to find the one-shot. Once you get the hang of it, it can be extremely strong. Third, I want to talk about Sojourn's snare ability, her E. So it's an extremely powerful zoning ability that slows down enemy and does damage over time. The most powerful thing about this, in my opinion, is the slow part of it. And it's best used in chokes or when a tank is trying to get out of the fight. So try to find low mobility targets that are trying to retreat, shoot it just behind them. The damage on it is decent, but the real strength comes in when you hit that slow. When an enemy tries to run away or the enemy team is coming toward you, try to cut off their movement pattern and break off their retreat or their engagement with the slow, as it's quite a big ability. Side note, you can also combo it with stuff like Grav, but again, using it for the slow and using it in chokes is extremely strong. Now, I've been talking a lot about Sojourn's extremely strong mobility, and this is because of her shift ability. It's a slide where at any time during the slide, you can use your spacebar to jump and gain a surprising amount of air. Use this to gain control of really key places and key objectives on the map. Now, you can jump at any time, but if you jump at the end of it, you have gained the furthest distance traveled. Just keep in mind that if you take control of these really key places on the map, you might be left without mobility, but just don't leave yourself without an escape. So if you can walk up to these places, that's good, or if they're uncontested, you can take them with your shift. But just keep in mind, you always need to have a way out, because the strongest thing about Sojourn is constantly dealing damage, and the shift is really what helps her achieve that. Now, last but not least, Sojourn's ultimate. It's called Overclock, and by pressing it, your right click constantly starts charging, so you can use more than 5 or 6 right clicks in one ultimate. And it also makes your right click pierce. So make the best use out of this ability by abusing the pierce and lining up the enemies. As a side note, it does not pierce through shields, so if you're against Reinhardts or Sigmas, they could ruin your day. But use your mobility to kite away from them, to get away from them, and use your ultimate more on the squishies in the back. It's okay to miss a few charges of your ultimate, but you can get several headshots in a row if you get quite proficient at it. So keep trying to use the ultimates, get good angles, and if you can get multiple kills with one right click, that's awesome. I can't wait to see a lot of clips of people using the ultimate and getting 2 or 3 kills with just one shot, just because they are lining the enemies up properly. If you want to see more educational content like this, just leave a comment below on what kind of video you want to see next. And as always, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for supporting the Shock.